I'm a role model too, wouldn't you say?
I am the man. Don't they call me sir on the street?
I'm a nice man, a good man, a man who opens the door, a man who's respectful.
Like Frank Sinatra was. I've been doing a lot of research about him and I've come to the conclusion he was a really good guy.
I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me, so deep in my heart.
I've got you under my skin.
I've got
you deep in the heart of me, so deep in my heart that you're really a part of me. I've got you under my skin.
I was born on the 17th of May 2015 at the Glory in Haggerston, East London.
I was on the phone late one night with my old friend Miss Kimberly and we were just chatting. I used to do a double act with her when I was Georgie Michael back in the 90s, and I said, you know what, I think I'd quite like to go back into performing. And she said, well, what would you do? And I said, I'd quite like to do Frank Sinatra. And she was quiet for a minute and then went, you know what? Nobody else is doing that. That's a really good idea. And then she had a gig coming like 2 weeks later, so she booked me. Then I had to do it.
So I performed at her boobathon, which was a fundraiser for her chest surgery, singing, I've got you under my skin. I've got you under my skin, 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 I've got you under my skin, under my skin, under my skin,
Frank Sinatra was playing a lot in the house where I grew up, and that voice just entered my head as a kid and stayed there for decades. It's not like I'm a tribute act. I've got my own voice. I'm a professional singer, songwriter and musician.
When I first did drag back in the 90s, it was as Georgie Michael. I had so much fun running around the stage, grabbing my crotch, going, I'm your man. Georgie Michael was part of the London drag king scene back in the 90s. We had a club called Naive.
Georgie Michael was part of the Naive scene. We all used to hang out. There were lots of lesbians there who were wondering whether or not they was transgender. I never considered myself to be transgender. I've always been a rebel dyke.
Anyway, Georgie Michael lived for less than a year. Too much facial hair.
Frank Sinatra really did get under my skin. I loved everything about that era, the voice, the look, the music, and of course the fact that he wore a suit and a hat. A hat is a really good prop.
And I am so good looking in a suit.
I love how it looks when I put it on. I love the shape of my body when I put on the binder. And I love wearing the makeup. But I really had to learn how to do that. I had some very good teachers. I went to Michael Twaite's first ever drag school, a room full of men. I was the only woman and they all knew more about makeup than I did. I'd never worn makeup. Where does it go? What goes where? But I had to learn how to do makeup in order to become a man. And then I learned how to cut my hair, how to make it into a moustache, how to improvise. And there's a rebellious and a political side to me as well.
When it's Pride season, it's Sid's turn. Sid is more spitty and shouty and stampy. He's more, get out of my fucking way. Well, I'm more, would you like me to hold the door open for you?
Sid and Frank are like the two opposite sides, and that's what I really like. Sid actually did a version of My Way, the Frank Sinatra classic, and that's what attracted me to the character in the first place. I rewrote that song to make it all about gay rights and pride. I like rewriting songs. It's something I do. I'll just hear a song randomly and think, oh, yeah, I like that. And then I'll listen to it over and over and over again to get the original words in my head. And then I'll put my own words. Sometimes that takes days, can be weeks, can be months. But it's a very fluid, creative process. I like to wait for something to find me.
Hold the door in. What you want me? What you want me? Hold the door in. What you want me? What you want me? Hold the door in. 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 What you want me? Hold the door in.
I've been an activist my whole life, not just for gay rights. I started back in the 80s against cruise missiles and Thatcher, and right up to the present day, anti-Brexit and the Black Lives Matter movement. And I run clubs. And I think that has got a very political side to it, because for me it's all about getting people together so they can come out and meet their mates. Social isolation is a very dangerous thing. And for me, running an event is a way to combat that. And then, in 2017, an opportunity came up for me to host a drag king night at London's legendary Royal Vauxhall Tavern.
On July the 19th, 2017, I hosted the first ever Kings of Clubs. And now I run 5 a year. I have the best drag kings from London, the UK, and sometimes other parts of the world, plus 1 to 3 open mic slots.
Lots of those performers are trans, and this is giving them a very positive platform. The space and the chance to create and experiment, that's what's important. For me, everything I do is about community, bringing people together, giving them the opportunity to perform, helping them shine, seeing them shine.
And during the pandemic, I did do some online shows, but I mean, where was the joy? One of them had over 2,500 views, but I wasn't there. Where's the joy in that? It was the biggest audience I'd ever had in my life, but I wasn't there. And I did one online where people could type things into the chat, but it's a very different world.
Well, if nothing else, those 2,500 views prove that people love me. They think I'm fabulous.
Hold the door in. What you want me? What you want me? Hold the door in. What you want me? Hold the door in.
Verónica Alejandra Rosa María Gutiérrez Narváez Montenegro Maldonado de las Mercedes. My name is Verónica Alejandra Rosa María Gutiérrez Narváez Montenegro Maldonado de las Mercedes. Can you say that one by one, please? Verónica Lodge from Archie Comics. Alejandra, name of my favorite cousin. Rosa María was the name of my teacher back in school in Colombia. Gutiérrez was the surname of my best friend in that school in Colombia. Narváez was the name of my sister's old friend from when we first arrived in this country. She was also one of the first Colombian people we met here. Montenegro, like Soraya Montenegro, iconic telenovela villain, and somebody who inspired me a lot as a child. Maldonado, like Leomi Maldonado, the legendary icon of ballroom, or like myself, Jorge Maldonado, de las Mercedes. Like the Virgin Mary, full of grace. Hola, I'm Arturo. I'm Veronica's twin brother. Where she's in her early, mid-late 30s, I'm gonna be 19 forever. Don't lie to me, darling. I know who you are, and you are not Jorge Maldonado. Yes, I am, bitch. And let me tell you, I am Jorge Maldonado. I come from a proud line of Maldonados, from a strong matriarchal family where my grandmother, Mama Irma, put 11 children by herself through school and made sure that they all became worth something and worthy of themselves. And all of the powerful female role models in my family, be it my aunties or my cousins, even my sister or my mom, have always ensured to do the best possible by themselves and to make sure to push everyone around them forward. The men of the family, however, they can go fuck themselves. That's good, baby. My pronouns are she, her. But let me tell you something. I'm a little bit more like a medical mystery. My birth certificate burned down in a mysterious house fire, and my ID and passport has a nice big X on it. Not that it's legal anywhere, but it doesn't matter. I don't like to fly. But you know, if you ever refer to me as he, him, I promise I will cut you. That's fair enough. My pronouns, for example, are they, them, because I identify as non-binary. Oh, and my pronouns are he, him. I am also a fantastical creature. I can't be bothered with the gender binary and how it handles us down. And being able to say that I'm non-binary is great. I can go to somewhere like Primark, rummage through all of the women's wear section, select my favorite things that I want to wear that I would feel good and feel comfortable in, then go right upstairs to menswear and do it all over again. Select my favorite things. When I've got everything, pile them all together, try some things on, see what I really like and what I feel really comfortable in. No te leto sucia. Buy them. I know. Good for you, baby. I don't need to do any of that because I'm fancy, I'm rich, and I'm fabulosa. But you know how the saying goes, be gay, do crime. I completely agree with you. Be gay, do crime. Especially considering that until like the 60s, it was illegal for gay people to even exist. And it's still illegal for gay people to be alive in 70 different countries in the world. Some of them, we even get the death penalty. So I say, if that's the way that the world's going to treat us and tell us that it's illegal for us to even exist, then so be it. We'll do all the other illegal shit too. So fair enough, I have shoplifted in my past, but every time I have, it's been from those ugly corporations that every June 1st smack a rainbow on all of their products and call it pride and pretend they care about us. But as soon as it hits July 1st, we're gone. They ignore us, they pretend we don't exist. So sure, maybe I take a few things here and there, not hurting anybody, but I am trying not to do it anymore, okay? But hey, if you're queer and you're one of us, remember, be gay, do crime. Otherwise, I'm not sure you can sit with us. And that's why personally, the last time I went into IKEA and I saw one of those horrible rainbow bags, I made sure to grab one of those and I slapped on the side of it the words, be gay, do crime. Because that way, everyone knows what's up. I really enjoy making privileged people uncomfortable with my performances. For example, my favorite audience participation game is Rats or Colonizers. Rats or Colonizers is one of my favorite numbers to do. It actually came from the TV show Jeopardy, where they ask you an answer, and then you have to give them the question and like what it means. So for myself, I was thinking a lot last year about, how the world is dealing with racism right now and the sheer ignorance of it, as well as all the white supremacy going around and like things like the Black Lives Matter movement. And I thought to myself, what would be a really engaging way to do this and actually create audiences and focus them onto this topic? So I thought to myself, most racism comes from colonization. And what else travels in boats along with colonizers? Rats. They seem pretty similar. So why not marry the two of them together? I thought that was a great way to be able to add humor, but still deal with a very heavy topic and make sure that people actually listened to it and took something away with it. I was able to also throw bits about immigration in there and really have an open conversation about things like immigration, racism, xenophobia, and just being able to really challenge those views in my audiences. And it's one of my favorite numbers to do. I personally really love this number, and I know that a lot of people out there love it too. But it's also, funnily enough, the only number where afterwards I've been hassled. It's really important for me that we talk about these things, that we have an open conversation about racism, about colonization, and about white privilege. I want people to understand that there's still effects of people of privilege because of colonization. So for me, this was the best way to do it. And I really love this number. I really love performing it. And even though the first time I performed it, at the end, I had someone come up to me and tell me that I was being racist towards white people. I made sure to stay calm, grab my purse, grab my drink, and walk straight past them. I really like to make sure that when you come to one of my performances or one of my shows, that you leave with some train of thought and that you leave having learned something that has challenged you. I believe that as a Latin American immigrant, it's really important for me to showcase my culture and my heritage in the best way possible and to teach other people about it. You know, I focus a lot on doing Spanish lip syncs, especially lip syncs that are surrounded around telenovela culture. I want to make sure that they are over dramatic, hyper camp, and completely over the top and just very telenovela. And even though they might be in Spanish and you might not understand them, you're going to understand the emotions, you're going to understand the narrative, and you're going to come with me on this journey. For example, a very recent number that I did is the song Vas a Quedarte by Aitana, which is one of my favorite songs. And I did this number and I kind of put also into it the trans murders that have been happening in 2019 and 2020, as it's something that has really affected our community. So in one part of the lip sync, the song just stops and it's a voice reading the names of all of the trans people that have been murdered during that time. And it really resonates with a lot of people. It really resonates with me, not just because it's a very emotional point, but also because it reminds you of the privilege that you yourself have compared to these people who have unfortunately left us. I remember the first time I performed that song. It was my aunt's favorite song, and it's a song that I really, really love. And the first time that I performed it was, unfortunately, the same day that we lost my aunt to pancreatic cancer after a really long battle. And it really resonates with me. It's a song that makes me very emotional. And I thought to myself as well, what would be the best way to honor my aunt's memory? Somebody who was so loving and so open and understanding. And I thought if I created a number that was centered around loss and also centered around all the loss that we've experienced as a community through all of the trans deaths that have taken place in the past 2 years, I thought it would be a really great way to really challenge people's views on that and remind them that even though we're enjoying the privilege of being at bars and clubs and being able to watch a show, there are many of us that are not here with us. And I thought it would be a really beautiful way to honor her memory and to be able to honor all of us that we lost.
In one of the crimes catching police's attention, a fourth transgender woman has been murdered in Dallas. It's another life lost.
Enough's enough. It stops here, not one more.
She's read similar headlines far too often.
Transgender woman's body found in White Rock Lake,
gathered to remember Malaysia Booker. Another black transgender woman is dead.
So far this year, nearly 20 transgender people in the United States,
I am certainly outraged at the people who did this,
all but two
I am
have been
also
black men.
outraged at a police department that continues to be
Now,
unable
one
to stop
name
this
that you may not have heard of is Tony McDade. Now, Tony is a 38-year-old black transgender man who was killed by police on May 27th of this year.
This is an epidemic that is touching transgender people throughout this country, particularly black transgender women.
I must tell you, Jorge, I'm so, so proud of you. You have come such a long way since your first introduction into drag. I really appreciate that. But let me tell you, it's not being easy. Like many people out there, I was exposed to drag for the first time as a 19-year-old living by myself at university, watching reality TV late night and coming across RuPaul's Drag Race. And I remember the first time seeing it, I was like, these are some people that are really expressing their femininity in the best way, something that I was never able to do. And I became obsessed with it. I was like, this is what I want to try. So come Halloween 2019, I tried drag for the first time. And it went as badly as you can imagine. But it was a lot of fun because at the same time, even though I didn't look the best, I had a lot of my friends come up to me at my friend's Halloween party saying to me how I was acting so confidently that I was really, seemed like I was coming into myself and it was a joy to be around. So I took a lot of pride in that. Unfortunately, where I was living at the time in university, it was a very small town, so there wasn't any gay venues or many gay people to socialize or to be around. So it was a very, very difficult environment. And then when I eventually came back to live in London, it was a little bit too much and I was kind of afraid to go out to the bars and to try these things out. So I kind of put drag on the back burner because I was too busy working and just didn't make time for it. Then around, I want to say about 4 years ago, for around after New Year's Day, I was sitting by myself and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm 27 now. If I don't start doing drag now, I don't think I ever will. So I challenged myself to try drag. And funnily enough, I was watching a Netflix documentary called Dress as a Girl, featuring some of London's top cabaret and drag artists at the time. And lo and behold, through the power of advertising, a notification on my Facebook comes up saying, oh, Art of Drag course at the Royal Vauxhall Tavern run by Michael Thwaites. And I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity for me to be able to talk and meet people who are in the cabaret scene and in the drag scene, be able to learn from them what drag means, and really be able to try this out to the best of my ability. Is that how I was born? Is that how you made me? You were kind of conceived maybe, but it was only after I gave Veronica George up for adoption. You see, my original drag character, Veronica George, was a mixture of Veronica Lodge from Archie Comics and Regina George from Mean Girls. She was the it girl, she was pretty, she was popular, she was a bitch, she was everything, but it just wasn't really me. And it was funny how like all the media was just telling you like, you have to be pretty, you have to be polished, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to be bitchy in order to be a successful drag queen. And doing the Art of Drag course, I learned that that wasn't the case. The whole point of drag is to be able to experiment with gender, experiment with everything that femininity and masculinity mean to you, and be able to create something from it. So I had to sit down and do a lot of unlearning. I had to sit there and really have experiences and be able to unlearn a lot of the toxic masculinity that's pushed onto us by the media, and be able to unlearn things like how drag only has to be one thing. And I had to really have these conversations, and it was great because I was able to be around queer people of many different backgrounds, ethnicities, experiences, sexualities, and be able to meet trans people for the first time, for example, and be pushed into this environment and really learn and really engage with my community, you know? So it was really great for me because it was really eye-opening. I was able to have really strong discussions with myself about my identity, my sexuality, my gender identity, and being able to learn that I'm non-binary, I identify under the trans umbrella, and I don't have to fit into a role of what's masculine or what's feminine, has been really eye-opening and really great, you know? Drag doesn't have to be misogynistic. Drag doesn't have to be only for cis, able-bodied white men. Drag doesn't have to be just one size fits all. Drag doesn't have to be just one lip sync to Britney Spears and call it a day. Drag can be anything you want it to be, you know? Drag that is misogynistic, transphobic, does not have a place in our community, and that needs to be gone. Drag is an art form. That's the most important thing I've ever learned. It's an art form, and it's a way for us to play with our gender, express our gender identity, and give a big fuck you to society and the way that it tells us that we have to fit into a masculine or feminine role and stick to that for the rest of our lives. No. We can experiment with it, and we can create with it, and we can express ourselves with it, and we can do whatever we want with it. Another really important thing that I learned is that whenever you're on stage, make sure you have a point of view or a reason for being on stage. Because yes, it's all well and good, you get on stage and you do a lip sync for Pussycat Dolls and you make all the Huns in the audience feel great. Wonderful, great, you got paid. But you didn't really change the world. And the whole point of drag is to change the world, is to make people change the way that they see themselves, to change the way that they see the society, change the way that they see gender constructs, and really break those apart and throw them back into the society and be like, no, this is what we're doing. And to really challenge people's way that they think and be able to leave them with something, that's a great reason for being on stage. So, with all that being said, Veronica, that's how you were born. Veronica Alejandra Rosa María Gutiérrez Narváez Montenegro Maldonado de las Mercedes, Colombia's second biggest export. Hello. I haven't seen people for about 13 months now, so this is going to be a very interesting situation. Look at me, I'm already nervous. Hi everyone, hello. My name is Veronica Alejandra Rosa María Gutierrez Narváez Montenegro Maldonado de las Mercedes. I was previously known as Miss Veronica Alejandra Rosa María Gutierrez Narváez Montenegro de las Mercedes. But unfortunately, you see, Mr. Montenegro passed away during the lockdown in a very, very tragic house fire that happened through no fault of his own. If he'd only learned to leave the toilet seat down. Officer, my ex-husband was in that house. But anyway, we're here to celebrate a very important occasion.